Refuting the claims of the prohibition of mut'ah. Mut'ah marriage was allowed by the Qur'an, verse 424. Mut'ah marriage was sanctioned by verse 424 of the Qur'an. In the tafsir of verse 424, Al-Qurtubi and Al-Shawkani have both stated that, according to the opinion of the majority, this verse was revealed about mut'ah marriage. Many other scholars have also said that mut'ah marriage is a reason of revelation for verse 424. For example, Fakhruddin al-Razi, Al-Tabari, Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, Ibn Ashur, Al-Zamakhshari, Al-Alusi, Al-Baghawi, Al-Shirbini, Al-Tha'alabi, Al-Nasfi, Al-Baydawi, and so on, as we have shown in the list. The reason for this opinion is that many companions and tabi'een have read this verse in a way that proves without a shadow of a doubt this verse is talking about temporary marriage. Ibn Abbas, Ibn Mas'ud, Ubay ibn Ka'b, Sa'id ibn Jubair, Al-Suddi, Ali ibn al-Husayn Zayn al-Abidin, Muhammad ibn Ali al-Baqir, and Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq have all read the verse as, "For the pleasure you obtain from them to a specified period of time, pay them their reward as an obligation." 424. This is widely reported in many narrations, some of which are regarded saheeh according to the conditions of Muslim, and some others have been classified as saheeh by scholars like Al-Hakim. Al-Tamheed for Ibn Abdul Bar, Majmu'at al-Tuhaf al-Nafa'is, volume 10, page 63. From Abdul Razzaq from Ibn Jurayj from Ata that he said, "I heard from Ibn Abbas that he sees mut'ah marriage as halal until now, and he informed me that he reads verse 424 as, 'For the pleasure you obtain from them to a specified period of time, give them their rewards,' and also in the harf of Ubay, to a specified period of time." Abu Umar said, "Others who also read this verse as to a specified period of time are Ali the son of Hussein, his son Abu Ja'far Muhammad bin Ali, his son Ja'far bin Muhammad, and Sa'id bin Jubair. They used to all read it this way." The first section of this narration is also found in Musannaf Abdul Razzaq al-San'ani, part 7, page 498. Tafsir al-Suyuti, Markaz Hajr, part 4, page 328. Abdu bin Hamid, Ibn Jarir, Ibn al-Anbari in al-Masahif, and Al-Hakim have all narrated the following hadith, and Al-Hakim actually said that it is a sahih hadith. From Abi Nadra that he said, "I read in front of Ibn Abbas the verse, 'For the pleasure you obtain from them, give them their rewards as an obligation.' Ibn Abbas said, 'For the pleasure you obtain from them to a specified period of time.' I said, 'We do not read it this way.' Ibn Abbas said, 'I swear by Allah that Allah has revealed it this way.'" Tafsir al-Tabari, Dar Hajr, part 6, page 587. From Abi Nadra that he said, "I asked Ibn Abbas about the mut'ah of women, so he said, 'Haven't you read the surah of Al-Nisa?' I said, 'Yes, I read it.' He said, 'Haven't you read, 'For the pleasure you obtained from them to a specified period of time?' I said, 'If I read it this way, I wouldn't have asked you this question.' He said, 'It is this way.'" Tafsir al-Tabari, part 6, page 587. From Abi Nadra that he said, "I read this verse in front of Ibn Abbas, 'For the pleasure you obtained from them.' Ibn Abbas said, 'To a specified period of time.' I said, 'I do not read it this way.' He said, 'I swear by Allah that Allah has revealed it this way.' He repeated this 3 times. Note that all the narrators of this hadith are the narrators of Sahih Muslim, and hence the chain is regarded sahih on the conditions of Muslim. The same as this meaning was also narrated in many other places via different chains of narrators who are predominantly the narrators of Sahih Muslim. For example, Tafsir al-Tabari, part 6, pages 587 and 588. Tafsir al-Tabari, part 6, page 586, 587. Tafsir al-Suyuti, part 4, page 328. Tafsir Ibn Kathir, volume 2, page 259. Al-Tafsir al-Kabir for Al-Razi, part 10, page 53. Tafsir al-Qurtubi, Volume 5, page 130, Tafsir al-Shawkani, Volume 1, page 72, Tafsir al-Khatib al-Shirbini, Tafsir Ruh al-Ma'ani for al-Alusi, Ma'ani al-Qur'an, Tafsir al-Baghawi, Ahkam al-Qur'an for al-Jassas, Tafsir al-Zamakhshari, Ahkam al-Qur'an for Ibn al-Arabi, al-Masahif for Abi Dawood al-Sijistani. Claims of Quranic abrogation of verse 424. All the Islamic schools of thought are unanimous that the Quran cannot be abrogated by ahad narrations, meaning single-person reports. Many even go further than this and say that the Quran verses can only be abrogated by other Quran verses, and not by any type of narration, let alone single-person reports. For example, Al-Shafi'i, Ahmad bin Hanbal, and Sufyan al-Thawri are on this opinion. They reject the notion that Quran could be abrogated by any narration, even if it was mutawatir, meaning widely and diversely reported, let alone if it was single reports, as is the case with the reports claiming the prohibition of mut'ah marriage. So after having established that 424 was revealed to allow mut'ah marriage, a big question will arise. Which verse is it that was revealed to abrogate verse 424 and hence cancel the permissibility of mut'ah marriage? If no one is able to provide that verse, then mut'ah would remain lawful until today, because nobody has the authority to change the law of the Quran. There have been some claims of verses that allegedly abrogated verse 424 and cancelled mut'ah. However, upon a simple examination of these claims, we find that they fail the basic tests of authentication. They are very likely to be fabricated by people who wanted to impose their own sectarian notion on this topic. For example, they have narrated that verse 23:6 or 70:30 was revealed to abrogate verse 424 and cancel mut'ah. Strangely, they have attributed this narration to Ibn Abbas, who was famous for allowing mut'ah marriage and challenging those who forbid it until the last days of his life. They narrate in Sunan al-Tirmidhi's summary for Al-Albani, page 266, from Ibn Abbas that he said, mut'ah was at the start of Islam. The man would come to a new town that he does not know well, so he marries the woman for the period that he resides there. She protects his belongings and fixes his issues. This was until the following verse was revealed, except on their spouses or what their right hand possessed. Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse 6. Anything other than these two is haram. Another narration with a similar meaning to this was also attributed to Aisha, the wife of the Prophet. Al-Tamheed for Ibn Abdul Barr, volume 10, page 65. So basically, the verses that allegedly forbade mut'ah marriage are either 23:6 or 70:30. Upon the examination of these verses, we find that not only they have nothing to do with mut'ah marriage, but also they were both revealed before the verse that legalized mut'ah. Both 23:6 and 70:30 are Mecca verses revealed in Mecca, while the verse that allowed mut'ah was a Madani verse revealed later in the Medina. So how could these verses abrogate the mut'ah verse 424, which was revealed after them? How could the earlier verse cancel the later verse? It looks like the person who fabricated these claims didn't even notice this great conflict in the timing. And the strange thing is that sometimes they try to divert the meaning of the verse 424 away from temporary marriage by claiming that it is talking about permanent marriage, and then at the same time inconsistently claim that verses 23:6 and 70:30 have abrogated verse 424. So if 424 is not talking about temporary marriage, then why would it need any abrogation? Did 23:6 or 70:30 abrogate permanent marriage? Claims of hadiths abrogating mut'ah marriage. The narrations that claim the prohibition of mut'ah marriage have many problems which highly discredit their authenticity. Not only that they are conflicting in their contents and timing, but they are also in a direct conflict with the famous opinion of those who allegedly narrated them. For example, many of these narrations are attributed to Imam Ali and Ibn Abbas, who were actually famous for permitting mut'ah marriage, as we demonstrated in the previous sections. Another problem is that many of these narrations which are attributed to Imam Ali were actually narrated through people who were hostile to him. I mean, is it logical to seek the opinion of someone by listening to what his enemies have to say about him? For example, a common factor between most of these narrations, and specifically the ones attributed to Imam Ali, is Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri. Al-Zuhri was an agent for the Umayyad government for more than 40 years. This was a government that routinely cursed Imam Ali on its pulpits. So how can we trust what Al-Zuhri narrates and attributes to Imam Ali? In summary, these narrations could be divided into three categories. The first category is those narrations that claim the prohibition took place in the event of Khaybar, which was on the 7th year of the Hijri calendar. All these narrations are attributed to Imam Ali, and yet they are narrated through Ibn Shihab al-Zuhri, as you could see here. This in itself is enough reason to dismiss these narrations as unauthentic. But it doesn't stop there, because there are countless other problems with these narrations, as you will see soon. The second category of narrations are all narrated by one person named Sabra al-Juhani. These narrations claim that the Prophet had allowed mut'ah for a few days during Fath Makkah or the year of Awtas, and then he forbade it forever, as you can see in the following slides. This claim was adopted by many scholars as the authentic claim and the valid time of the prohibition of mut'ah, and hence it was narrated in Sahih Muslim. The problem, however, is that these narrations would obviously contradict all the Imam Ali narrations about the prohibition taking place during Khaybar on the 7th year of Hijrah, because Fath Makkah was on a later date, on the 8th year of Hijrah. So how could the Prophet have allowed it in Fath Makkah after he had already forbidden it in Khaybar? The third category of narrations are also narrated by the same person, Sabra al-Juhani. In this category, Sabra mentions an identical event to the one described in the second category narrations. He says that the Prophet had allowed it for a few days, then he forbade it. However, this time he says that this event occurred in Hujjat al-Wada' rather than in Fath Makkah. Hujjat al-Wada' means the farewell pilgrimage of the Prophet, which was on the 10th year of Hijrah, 2 years after the Fath Makkah. Here are the narrations showing this claim. This claim obviously contradicts the Fath Makkah claim, because how could the Prophet have allowed mut'ah during Hujjat al-Wada' after he had already permanently forbidden it in Fath Makkah? One of these two claims must be wrong, particularly that both claims are coming from the same person and saying the same story with the same details, with the only difference being that each claim is attributed to a different time event. These contradictory single-person reports have created a big dilemma for the Sunni scholars throughout history as they try to reconcile between the contradictions. If they are to accept all of these claims, then they have to say that the Prophet had allowed mut'ah for many long years. Then in the last 3 years of his life, he repeatedly forbade it and allowed it many times until he finally forbade it forever. This is why Sahih Muslim has designated a chapter on mut'ah marriage and titled it as Mut'ah marriage, and showing that it was first allowed, then forbidden, then allowed again, then forbidden again forever. Upon the examination of Muslim's claim, it is clear that he has dismissed Sabra's claim of prohibition during Hujjat al-Wada'. Had he included those narrations, it would have made his claim even more ridiculous, with another additional permission and prohibition added to his list of permissions and prohibitions. Other scholars have also expressed wonderment about this fact. For example, Al-Shafi'i is reported to have said in Tafsir al-Baghawi, volume 2, page 194, from Al-Rabi' bin Sulaiman, that he said, I heard Al-Shafi'i say, I don't know anything in Islam which was permitted, then prohibited, then permitted again, then prohibited again, other than mut'ah. This was also narrated in Tafsir al-Tha'labi, part 3, page 288. Ibn Arabi also expressed wonderment about this phenomena, as narrated in Tafsir al-Qurtubi, volume 5, page 130. Ibn Arabi said, the mut'ah of women is one of the strangest things in the religion, because it was allowed at the start of Islam, then prohibited in Khaybar, then allowed in Awtas, then prohibited. Then Al-Qurtubi says, other people who extracted the narrations have said that the narrations imply that the prohibition and permission took place 7 times in total. Finally, we will show you a narration which conclusively exposes the falsehood of the prohibition claims. This narration has safely made it through Umayyah's large distortion filters, probably because they did not notice the proofs that are hidden within it and or the implications of it. It is widely reported and found in Musnad Ahmad, Tafsir al-Qurtubi, Tafsir ibn Kathir, Ahkam al-Qur'an, Sharh Ma'ani al-Athar, and finally, but most importantly, in Sahih Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. Sahih Muslim, volume 1, page 632, from Qais that he said, I heard Abdullah say, we were in wars with the Prophet, peace be upon him, and we had no women. So we said, should we castrate ourselves? The Prophet prohibited that on us and allowed us to marry the women to a specified period of time for a dress as a dowry. Then Abdullah read the verse, O you who believe, do not forbid the good things that Allah has allowed for you, and do not transgress. Allah does not like the transgressors. Surah Al-Ma'idah, verse 87. In this narration, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud was arguing that mut'ah was halal and reciting verse 587 to support his argument. The time of this event must have been after the revelation of verse 587, as he couldn't have recited this verse prior to its revelation. Now, it is agreed that this surah of Al-Ma'idah was the last surah to be revealed in the Qur'an, and was actually revealed in the farewell pilgrimage on the 10th year of Hijrah. Therefore, the event of the narration must have taken place after this date. This is a solid proof that mut'ah was still allowed after the 10th year of Hijrah, and hence all the claims of prohibition prior to this date must have been fabricated. This narration falsifies and eliminates the overwhelming majority of the prohibition claims, namely the Khaybar and Umrat al-Qada claims on the 7th year of Hijrah, the year of Awtas and Fath Makkah claims on the 8th year of Hijrah, and the Tabuk claims on the 9th year of Hijrah. The only claims that remain will be Sabra al-Juhani's Hujjat al-Wada' claims, which are already discredited by most scholars as we described before. Some scholars even went further and discredited his Fath Makkah claims as well. For example, Ibn Ashur in his Tafsir al-Tahrir wal-Tanwir, volume 5, page 10, it was said that the hadith of Sabra narrated by Sahih Muslim has abrogated mut'ah. Sabra said that he saw the Prophet sitting against the wall of the Kaaba on the 3rd day of Fath Makkah and saying, O people, I allowed you to do mut'ah with these women. However, Allah has prohibited that until Judgment Day. The fact that only Sabra alone has narrated this in such a time and condition discredits his narration.